Hey, it's Ken from the WCC and LHQ Weiss channel, and today I've got some exclusive reveals to show you from the upcoming English edition original booster Guilty Gear Strive. So I know this is a big title for many of you, and you're really looking forward to see how your favourite character's abilities will be translated into Weiss Schwarz. And even for those of you who aren't familiar with the original game, I think you'd be pretty excited to see what kind of cards I have today. And you know, given the nature of the cards, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, so let's get right into this. First up, I've got a couple of cards from Testament, which are Testament Elegant Grim Reaper and Testament Graceful Victory. The first is a level 0 2k, it gets 1/5 power if you have 2 of your stock, and when it comes into play you can pay 1 and discard 1 to search your deck for a Guilty Gear character. Second one's a 1045, when it attacks you choose one of your other Guilty Gear characters, and it gets 500 times the number of other Guilty Gear characters you have. Also when it attacks, all of your characters get the ability where if you trigger a climax, you can discard a climax to salvage a Guilty Gear character in your waiting room. I don't think either of these effects are particularly special, but they are the kind of effects that you sort of just appreciate being in the card pool, given that blue does often struggle with getting rid of climaxes in your hand if you play the gate trigger. And you know, cards with these effects have been used in the past in the meta competitive versions of certain titles, so yeah, I think these are pretty solid. But there's one more Testament card that I can show you today, which is Testament Beautiful Gear. It is a 2/1/4/5. It has 2 lines of text. The first one is that when it's placed from hand, you can salvage a character, and if you do, you discard 1. And then as an actability, you can pay 2, discard 2, put 1 Yuki Gear character from your memory into the waiting room, and then rest this card. And by paying the cost, you can do 1 damage to your opponent 2 times. So this is actually quite a flashy card, and I think it's really interesting. So I unfortunately don't have any information on how cards will be sent to memory in this set, but I think it does have a lot of potential. So it's being able to deal damage from the back row means that you basically get an extra attack or 2 attacks depending on how you want to look at it. So I think alongside a very cost-efficient finisher, I think this could be very powerful. And the fact that you can also use it starting at level 2 means that if you're in a decent position to just keep pushing damage, this can kind of just seal the deal without you hitting level 3 ever. So yeah, I think this Testament has a lot of potential, and I'm keen to see how you'll be fielding memory for this card. Right, and the second character that I have cards to show you for is Yuki, and his first card here is Yuki Nightless. It's a level 0/2/5 with the ability where if you play this card, you can discard a climax and send another character from your stage to the waiting room, and if you do, you choose a climax in your waiting room and add it to your hand. So it's one of those new climax swaps where instead of paying 1 stock, you choose a character other than yourself and send it to the waiting room. I think from experience using this type of ability, generally speaking, losing a card is a little more costly than 1 stock. But it does have its uses, so in decks which have a combo that can get multiple cards off a single use of the combo, or decks that can combo at level 0, so you might want to do it on your first turn where you don't have stock. I think this card is sometimes helpful. So yeah, this card is alright, but I think it is a little bit picky in what kind of deck it fits in. But the next 2 cards I don't think are as picky. So we've got Yuki Against His Will and Yuki Wasarayuki. The first one is a 2/1/5k power character. It's a level assist, so the cards in front of him gain 500 times the level of itself. And it also has the act ability where you can rest this card, and one of your characters gets the ability where if you reverse an opponent, you can send that opposing character to stock and make your opponent pay out to the bottom card of their stock. Yuki Wasarayuki is a 3/2/11k, pretty big. He can come out early if you have 2 or fewer climaxes in the waiting room. He gives all of your characters, including himself, the ability where you can't side attack. And finally, when he's placed from hand, you can heal 1. So I think this is a pretty good pair of cards, just in general. Wasarayuki is quite big, and the drawback where he can't side attack is probably a lot more negligible than you think, especially if you hit level 2 first and you can just play this card down. You're most likely just going to be getting direct attack lanes anyway, and you're somewhat likely to not really want to side attack in enough scenarios. And then I think Against His Will is just a solid card to supplement that. He gives power, he gives you more opportunities to win the board by removing particularly encore threats by using the act ability. So yeah, these cards I think are just really solid. And then next up we've got Yuki Vampire Samurai. He's a 1/0/4k character. He's a double rare, he's the only double rare I've got to show you today. He has 2 lines of text. The first one is, if all of your characters are Guilty Gear, he gains 2000 power permanently. And when he attacks, if you have Clash of Immortals in your climax area and all your characters are Guilty Gear, you can salvage a Guilty Gear character. So again, this card is I think it's really just simple, but simple is good kind of card. It's solid, it's got 106k, which is a really good power line for a free character on a combo. He combos on choice, which is again just a solid climax, and the fact that his combo doesn't change your deck state, I think is something that I really appreciate, because it means that if I just draw into a choice later in the game, or maybe I trigger a gate trigger and add a choice to my hand, I can always just go for this combo again. I don't have to worry about going through my deck too much or losing unnecessary climaxes or any of that sort. So yeah, I think this card just can't really go wrong, and if you're a Nagoro Yuki fan, I think you're in good hands. Right, and the final card that I have here, I think is the most interesting. It is Rude Awakening. It's a level 1 yellow uncommon event that costs 1. It has the text, choose 1 face-up card in your level, return it to your hand, then put this card in your level. Choose one of your Guilty Gear characters, and that character gets plus 3000 power until the end of your turn. And then it also has the ability pay for discard 2 cards, and then put this card from face up to face down. If this card is in your level, when your character attacks, if your level is 3 or higher, you can pay the cost to stand 1 character in battle. So again, I think this is just the most interesting card I've got today. The fact that it costs 1, I think is enough at the time, just not really something you need to consider. All you do need to do is clock this card, or even just have it land in your clock zone sometime before level 3, and you can have the experience text active. But also, if you so desire, you can hold on to this card to grab a card that you can put in your level zone that you need at level 3, or even level 2 if you want, and you can set up while getting cards which were otherwise a bit difficult to access with. So yeah, it does offer versatility in how you play the card. And in terms of the restand text, I think it's quite unprecedented that we've seen a card like this, which doesn't actually need to be in your hand to give your finishes that extra punch. And while we don't have that much information, I believe, at the moment regarding what the finishes in this set do, I think this also, just like the Testament before, has a lot of potential with finishes that don't use too many resources, because you get that extra attack in and you just deal more damage, and often enough that might just be enough to end the game. So I think this card could really just be the reason that you take Guilty Gear to a competitive event, depending on what level 3s we see in the future, and I'm really curious to see what kind of cards that this card gets paired with. Alright, so those were my reveals from the Guilty Gear Strive booster pack. 3 of the 9 cards that I showed to you come in foil, and I've got them up on the screen. So that's an SP each for Testament and Nagoro Yuki, as well as an SR version of the Rude Awakening event. I hope you enjoyed thinking about these cards as much as I did, and thanks to Bushiroad for again giving me this opportunity. The Guilty Gear Strive TD booster pack and supply set all release on the 15th of December, so make sure you can go to your local game store to pick them up if you're keen, and keep your eyes peeled for the next content creator review. We'll see you next time. Cheers.